Hi, my name is Ryan Severson, owner, CEO, and head coach at Sublime Life. And today we're going to talk about fatigue, where your fatigue might be coming from, and helping you unravel this puzzle so you have a better understanding of why you're experiencing the fatigue that you're dealing with. And so you can start working on those things to start increasing your energy overall. So in today's training, we're going to talk about where does your energy come from, the simple formula to help you solve your fatigue puzzle, and then how do these puzzle pieces impact your energy and health? So let's jump into it, shall we? So in order for us to understand fatigue, we have to first understand where energy comes from and how it is made. And energy is made in your mitochondria. These are in every cell of your body but your red cells, and there's thousands of them. And they have two main purposes. The first is to produce energy in the form of ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. This is your electricity. Without this, without ATP and without your mitochondria, you would not be alive right now. The second thing is that these mitochondria monitor your body and system for dangers and threats, which is called cell danger response. And I want you to really focus in on this. We're going to do a whole slide on this. This is where it really comes to help understand your fatigue and what's going on. But let's talk about how energy is made. So to produce energy, our body takes the nutrients that we break down in the form of the foods we eat. It takes those nutrients, which then go into the mitochondria, and they combine that with the oxygen that you breathe to create ATP in the form, which is again our form of electricity. Again, I mentioned earlier that the mitochondria are found in every cell except for our red blood cells. And their highest concentration is going to be in our brain, our heart, and our eyes. And so if you're dealing with fatigue issues and you're dealing with brain fog, this is something to think about, because when your mitochondria aren't producing enough energy in your brain, then you're going to deal with things like memory problems, cognitive problems, and issues like that. If you have heart problems, if you're not producing enough energy in the heart, that's going to be a problem, or your eyes. And we were developed to have the highest concentration of mitochondria because they take up a lot of energy, and we need our brain to be functioning, and we need our heart to be functioning for sure. But the rest of our cells, we have roughly around 1,000 to 2,000. In your brain, heart, and eyes, you have around anywhere from 10 to 20,000 mitochondria per cell. Altogether, your body has roughly 100 quadrillion mitochondria in your entire body. That's a lot of mitochondria. And the research and what they've looked at and the potential energy production that you can produce if you use all those 100 quadrillion mitochondria, you have the potential to produce the same amount of energy as a bolt of lightning or 2.5 million car batteries strung together. I want you to listen to this again and let that sink in. You have the potential to produce enough energy that equals the bolt of lightning or 2.5 million car batteries strung together. And you're like, Ryan, I don't have enough energy to get out of bed. Well, that potential is within you, and we want to figure out why you're not able to access that potential. We're gonna talk about that. So again, remember, the first and foremost, our mitochondria is there to produce energy, which is what gives us life to do everything that we need. Now we're going to talk about cell danger response and how that impacts your body's ability to make energy. So the cell danger response was discovered back in 2008 or 2009 by a mitochondrial researcher named Dr. Robert Naviaux, and his work has been quintessential in the realms of Lyme disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and a lot of these other chronic illnesses because the mitochondria play a big role. And so again, mitochondria can produce energy, but they're monitoring your body for threats. And what are those threats? Those threats could be biological. So that could be a virus, a bacteria, mold, fungus. It could be chemicals. So that could be like a chemical toxin, mold toxin, air, any kind of toxins that we have could be a chemical. Physical danger or threats. That could be over-exercising. It could be an injury or trauma to your body, a car accident. And psychological, and this is a big one that we don't really think about, but that could be negative thought patterns, trauma, like pessimistic attitudes, chronic stress, all these things that can be mental, emotional, psychological. They place stress and threats on the cell danger response, or on the cells as well, causing them to downregulate energy. So when you look at all those things, we have the palm trees here blowing. This is supposed to represent like a a hurricane coming in town. And so what do we do when a hurricane is coming in town? So think about, you live in South Florida, you get the warning that a hurricane's going to be coming in the next week. And what do? You go out to the grocery store, you buy water, batteries, candles, food, and then you board up your windows and you put some sandbags around the perimeter to keep the water out, and you don't want your windows blowing in on you. And this is what our cells do when it senses a threat. We hunker down, we go into hibernation, we conserve energy, and then once that threat passes, the storm goes away, the sun comes out, we unboard our windows, we open up, get rid of the sandbags, we go back to life as normal. Well, the way that cell danger response works in your body, think about like when you get the flu. When you get the flu, you get extremely exhausted and you're tired, you're achy, you have a fever, cough, sore throat, all this. That is the cell danger response in action. And what it does is it shuts down your cell. It prevents the pathogens or the toxins from getting in, prevents things from getting out, from that spreading. And then it sends out other chemical messengers for inflammation in your body. That's where the achiness and stuff comes from. And when your body's working to in this cell danger response to repair you, it doesn't have the energy to produce, to give you the energy to go out and do things, but it also wants to keep you in hibernation so you're not expending energy that your immune system needs to heal. And so you can't efficiently produce energy and protect yourself at the same time. It's like a seesaw relationship. The best your mitochondria can do for producing energy for you is to really basically keep you just alive in hibernation mode. And that's like 25% capacity at most. So you're operating like a cell phone battery that's in battery conservation mode. It's going to have a hard time doing everything. And that's why you're dealing with the fatigue that you're dealing with. So let's talk about a simple formula that we can help that can better help you understand where your fatigue might be coming from and those loads that are going to be on your mitochondria in that cell danger response. So we have genetics plus personality patterns times loads equals the impact on your body systems. And I love this formula. This is something I took from Alex Howard. He's an amazing practitioner that recovered from chronic fatigue syndrome himself. A very, very brilliant man, and somebody that I consider a mentor. So let's break this formula down. So we need to understand the variables. Genetics is the first thing. And a lot of us are told that, you know, our genetics are our destiny. If you have genes for autoimmunity, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, or whatever that may be, heart disease, Alzheimer's, that's your destiny and you're doomed to have those things happen. That is not the case. That is only about 5% as the potential, but you have the other 95% comes through the epigenetics. And this is a field of study and science that's been going on for about 20, 30 years. We now realize that we have the power and control in our hands through our lifestyle. That would be diet, rest, stress reduction, and all these other things that influence us. So if we're living a healthy lifestyle, we're keeping our genes for health turned on, and we're keeping the genes that are for autoimmunity and these other things turned off. But then we can have an environmental trigger that can trigger that, but we can still use our lifestyle to help control the rest of our genes to keep us healthy. So the genetic part is very small, but it's definitely something that we need to consider. The next part is going to be your personality patterns. And these 5 personality patterns are considered energy draining personality patterns. We have the type A overachiever, we have the perfectionist, we have the people pleaser fixer, anxiety worrier, and controller. And we have 2 basic needs as human beings, or necessities. And that is the 1, to feel accepted and loved, and 2, to feel safe. And so at any time in your life, specifically more in like your childhood where you didn't feel safe or loved, you're going to start creating personality patterns that are going to try to help you get those feelings of love and acceptance and safety. So maybe maybe your parents were like very driven and you didn't feel like you were accepted. So you had to be a perfectionist or an overachiever to get their love. Maybe like a parent or somebody was a people pleaser, you realized, or you had the belief that if you needed to sacrifice yourself for that of others. And so you people please to help yourself, or to feel accepted and loved and safe. Or maybe your environment was chaotic and stressful at all times, and you never really knew what was going on. So you're going to try to control your environment, and you deal with anxiety and worry. And all these personality patterns are running, and they've been there forever, and they're draining your battery constantly, setting you up for illness later down the road. And if you continue to stay in those personality patterns while you're sick, it's like you continue to drain your battery when your battery needs to be getting filled up. So these are things that you want to be aware of. Next is going to come loads. And the loads are going to be psychological, biological, or physical. And psychological, we're talking about things like emotions, stuck emotions. Trauma is a big one here. And this can be very overlooked by a lot of people, because a lot of people think that, oh, I had a great childhood. My parents never did anything to me. I didn't have any abuse or neglect or anything like that. But these things could be bullying at school. It could be emotional neglect. It could be a breakup could be traumatic for you. It's a loved one dying. So we have those big T's and little T's. All these things can impact us in our life. We have stressors like divorce, breakup, financial stressors, stress, the state of the world, your boss, traffic. All these different things are psychological stressors on us, because our body cannot tell the difference between a real perceived threat in our life that's actually happening, being chased by a bear, or something that we make up in our mind or our head. The next would be biological. So we're talking infections like Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr, mold. The toxins could be mold. It could be environmental toxins that we're all being exposed to. It could be nutrient deficiencies, so diet issues. And then lastly, physical. This could be overworking. This could be working out too much. Surgery, traumas to the body, car crashes, injuries, all these different things add up to the loads, and these are then going to impact your body systems. So we have genetics plus personality patterns times your load equals the impact on your body systems. So here we have our nervous system, our circulatory system, digestive, detoxification, hormonal. These are just a few of the systems that are going to be impacted by this. And so again, every organ, every cell in the body has mitochondria except for your red blood cells. So if you have issues, say in the mitochondria are struggling to make energy in your liver, that means you're going to have detoxification issues. And now those toxins are building up in your body, and that can create mitochondrial issues in your circulatory system or your hormonal system. And it creates this internal cycle. And so what we want to do is we want to start reducing or removing these stressors from the mitochondria. We need to work on the nervous system state to get you out of that state of fight or flight or shutdown. Because the nervous system is a big thing that drives that cell danger response, because the nervous system is constantly telling the mitochondria that we're in threat mode because our needs aren't being met, or we feel that we're constantly in a state of fight or flight from psychological stress. We're not going to be able to produce that energy. And so now we're dealing with things like with exhaustion, brain fog, digestive issues, detoxification issues, pain, all these different things. So when the mitochondria aren't functioning properly, you might feel like you have cement legs and you can't move, or your legs and muscles might be really stiff. And you might not know this, but it actually takes more energy for your muscle to relax than it does to contract. And not to get morbid on you, but when a body goes into rigor mortis, that means the mitochondria are no longer working, and your body doesn't have the energy to relax those muscles. And that's why the body becomes hard. So there you have it. That is the little training that I was doing on energy and fatigue, and to help you better understand where it can come from. And so you can better understand and think and understand where to look for when you're dealing with fatigue.